We got 6 games on the board today. And before I'm done with this show, I want to have action on every single game. Let's get it.
Yeah, I'm so fresh like the morning. Mouth wide open like they yawning. Every time they see me, they in G-Strive. Homie, this is too far. Homie, I feel too alive. You can see me like Illuminati. You can see me like Illuminati. But I'm trying to...
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to The Closing Line. My name's Troy Torrance, and I host this show every Tuesday and Thursday to truly remind you of two things. I mean, if you think about everything I talk about on a daily basis, it always roots back to two things, and that is that the bookies are not your enemy. They're your roadmap. Make sure you're paying close attention. And then you got to limit psychological damage, because you could be the best gambler, the best handicapper in the world. If you can't manage your emotions, you don't have discipline, I promise you, you will go broke. It's just a matter of time. So let's employ those two principles today, and let's cash some tickets. It's so vitally important to continue this uptrend. It's been quite crazy. If you look back at what we did on Tuesday, I mean, we just dominated the show, even to all the additions I made, which are the last 4 bets on the card that you're about to see on screen. It was just a massive Tuesday, and we've had massive Tuesdays and Thursdays pretty much all season, even prior to this uptrend that I'm recently experiencing. But you could see what we did. I mean, the Phillies were the biggest bet of the day. That was the cash cow. We cashed all of them. We had 2 big favorites in the Cubs money line, Mariners money line that I posted the night before in the CLV grab play of the day. We cashed both of those. We had the Cardinals first 5, cashed that pretty easily. The Royals first 5, which was one of my favorite bets on the board, ended up losing. Dropped 2 units on the Phillies and on the Royals first 5, and then I dropped a unit on the Yankees Tigers under. But everything else that we added, the Phillies first 5 -0.5, the Rangers money line, the White Sox first 5 money line, all cashed. Now the thing is, I'm showing 2 units here. That was I only basically I only talked about betting this for 1 unit. So even though you're seeing plus 7.98 units for the show, it's plus 698 units. That brings our total for the closing line up to plus 38.45 units cumulative since April 9th, which is when the show started. If you flip over to my trend, my story, like we talked about this graph and just how fascinating it is that numbers respect historical means. They respect mathematical theory so closely. We talked about the inverse head and shoulders. You see that we were down to 61 units in the middle of May. Despite crushing the show, we were down 61 units in May. Became undisciplined. It was a problem. Well, now we're up to plus 15 units. We've completely reversed the trend. And based on the measured move of the inverse short head and shoulders, we're looking at 20 to 25 units of profit before we start running into some regression. So we gotta light this up. Take advantage, squeeze the juice out of all we got before the All-Star break hits, and get to cashing as fast as possible. Before we start talking about these games, let's holler at the chat, because I know I have a lot of people in here that I highly respect, and hopefully one day I get to meet all of you that come out to support me and support Pub Sports Radio every time I'm on the show. I can't even tell you enough. Like, I know a lot of people say, I truly, from the bottom of my heart, respect, and I'm so thankful to have people supporting me and supporting this channel. Thank you very much. How do you pronounce that? Is it light cheese or lit cheese 100? Greetings, brother. Greetings. Welcome. Swiggy Bets weekend knocking. Oh my God, Thursday. I got nothing tomorrow. It's going to be handicapping for the weekend and spending time with family. It's a beautiful thing. Mark A. Let's go, man. Ever since Mark A came into my Discord, into my chat, we've been lighting up the board. Thank you for bringing some of that swag my way, Mark. I appreciate you, dude. Derek, my guy. Anytime you ever need anything, anytime you have any questions, that's another guy I hope to meet one day down the road here. Tasha, first time I seen you in chat. Thank you for stopping by. Really appreciate you. And yeah, we got plenty of time to talk these games out. We got a full hour to break this shit down. So if you guys have questions, if something comes up on the show, and maybe it's a market, maybe it's a market environment that you've seen yesterday, you see that could come into play tomorrow, let me know. We can go through it here on the show to finish up. With that being said, let's get over to our first game, which I do have action on. Yes, sir. Let's get it today, Troy. Agent parlay. Oh my God, parlays scare the shit. Parlays, because you know what? With the parlays, that's what the bookies want us to do. They want us attaching bets, attaching big money lines with other bets, trying to reduce the juice. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes you're not getting stolen from too badly. Sometimes you could barely find an edge, but it's very few and far between. Colin Gregory, thank you for joining. Agent Parlay, you better be cashing those things, man, if you're rocking the name. All right, let's go. Guardians, White Sox, first game up. Let me make sure I got all my everything aligned here. I'm going to set them up. We're all going to knock them down. It's going to be a hell of a day. It's a few games I haven't moved on yet, but I do plan on it. And I have a lot to talk about here. Guardians, White Sox. So we got 37% of bets, 25% of cash coming in on the Cleveland Guardians. Odds Logic showing 58%, 65% on Cleveland. So a little bit of a difference there, right? The Sharp Action per Action Network, which is where I plug into my database and look at market history, showing Sharp Action coming in on the White Sox, and it's vice versa at Odds Logic. And we're seeing quite a bit of Sharp Action coming in on the over as well. And what have we seen with the side? You see it on the screen right there. Guardians open plus 100. They're down to minus 115. And the total opened at 8.5. It's now juiced to the under. And you see the graphic that I have up on the screen here. So I was moving on this game. And it won't be to anyone's surprise who watches this show and who takes the market efficiency database as serious as I do. Because if you look on the left-hand side, that's the first profile. That's when I was moving on this game. You know, talking about divisional teams that open between minus 110 and plus 110. And you can see how it layers down. The baseline, just that opening line, divisional home teams, 55% since 2023, and that's almost 300-game sample. That's a legitimate size sample. You also see a trend of the over at 53%. But what happens when the line moves less than 10 cents, which is where I thought we'd close in this market? It's not the case anymore. But you can see that it goes from 61% to 65%, this massive trend of the over. So now let's look at what happens in the current market profile. Divisional home team, between minus 120, minus 110, line moving their way. Because what I'm seeing right now is a minus 115 line. So we're splitting that 5-cent differential. Very small home favorite line moving their way with 50 to 75% of bets on the other side. In all the graphics I want to cover today, we're going to be talking about cash flow. This one's specific to this game. And you can see what happens when the line's moving towards the home team in a market profile that we're looking at today. The home team is 27-14, 66% on the money line, 60% to the over. And, you know, versus a minus 112, I'm looking at minus 115 right now, but it's very close. You're looking at a 12.9% edge. Now, if you bet it at where I was betting it, you get a little bit bigger edge. And that's where the CLV comes into play. Why it matters is because you do squeak out a couple points here and there by betting things early. Now, it's not always imperative to bet it early, but in this case, I was on the lucky side of the spectrum, and I was able to get that CLV. We look at the matchup. Does the matchup agree? Because so we have a market that definitely influences us towards the Cleveland Guardians. What does the matchup say in this situation? Slade Sassoni, the guy that I actually believe in, 1.36 whip, 441 xERA, and the xERA has been consistently climbing over the past 2 months. And he's kind of stalled out a little bit over the past two starts at 4.4, but he was up at 7 early in the season. Last time out, this guy Sassoni, Seattle, 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 0 earned runs. So sub-1 whip and 0 earned against Seattle. In June, he's been lights out, 29 innings pitched, 22 hits, 9 walks, 6 earned runs, and a 1.88 ERA. He's right around a 1 whip and a 1.88 ERA. And it's not versus the worst lineups in baseball. I think he's going to find success in the MLB, and I think it's mostly because I love his pitch mix. When I was capping him early in the season, it was before this is really the first time I've always been so focused on the market because I was building out the database. I wanted a big enough sample. I was so focused on the database. Well, now I could start integrating the matchup more. And this is the first time I'm really realizing how important it is, the pitch mix, and what that says about pitchers. You look at Sassoni, he's got a fastball, cutter, sinker. Those 3 pitches account for 75% of his offerings. I think that's some of the best. That's one of the best combinations you'll see. A lot of successful pitchers throw those 3 pitches because they pair so well together. And you can see that when Sassoni's on the mound. You know, the fastball is the baseline. The sinker breaks in on the right-hander. The cutter breaks away from the right-hander. And his fastball run value is the top 23%. So he completely flipped the script on how his fastball is performing year over year. And it's because he changed his pitch mix. You could see that he's actively trying to get better because last year it was fastball, slider, curveball. Now it's fastball, cutter, sinker, and that's playing into his strengths. And I think that he's a pitcher I want to back. Chicago White Sox, they're versus right-handed pitching, they're 11th. They're a team that's very good offensively. Since June 1st, they're 11th. And on the season, they're 11th. So they've definitely been an offense that not only a surprise, but I think what we're seeing here is that it's a sustainable level of success. at least to some extent. Maybe a little bit regression, maybe a little bit of progression from here. But the offense is definitely worthy. So Sassoni, I still think he could pitch well in this spot. Davis Martin on the other side, 118 whip, 386 xERA. This is really the only pitcher that's worth a damn on the entire White Sox starting pitching roster. Now, Burke has been coming along. There's Fetty is a guy that's hit or miss. He could pitch great. He could pitch like a bum. We backed him. We cashed with Fetty. But Davis Martin is where it's at. He's the gold standard in the White Sox starting rotation. And actually, there's a few relievers that have come along, like Grant Taylor. But I think that this is the best pitcher on their staff. Last time out, 5 innings, 0 earned against Kansas City. In June, we have seen some regression from this cat, but he has been solid overall. There's no doubt about it. And I look at his pitch mix, and I instantly think of Joe Ryan because he has 6 pitches, all used north of 10%. The best offering he's got is the curveball and the changeup. He's very consistent. And you know what? The first thing that I start thinking about as I'm talking about Davis Martin is his home road splits and the White Sox home road splits, right? The White Sox have been a terrible team on the road. They've been great at home, just like Davis Martin, who at home, he's got a .88 ERA and a .205 opponent batting average. On the road, that gets inflated all the way up to 4.67 ERA and a .279 opponent batting average. That's 3 times as worse on the ERA, and that's definitely like, a 30%, 40% higher opponent batting average. So he's definitely worse on the road. Cleveland, they're not a good offense. So, they're 18th versus right-handed pitching over the past month, 22nd on the season. But this is not an offense that is very reliable. But they are on a game-to-game basis, and this might be one of those situations because we've seen this line flip from Guardians dogs to Guardians favorites, and historically we're in a great profile. So this White Sox team, it's funny, like there was like maybe a week ago, I was like, I'm going to start fading this team. This team is going to fall away, fade away. And then they continue to fall into profitable profiles. We backed them their first 2 games last series, and we cashed both of them. Then we stayed away in the 3rd game because we knew they had this game on deck, a divisional game, a much more important game. And they lost yesterday, and here they come into Cleveland. But I actually think that this is a Guardian spot. And I moved on the Guardians money line plus 104. Got the Guardians first 5 plus 100. As soon as I pulled the CLV grab analysis, I knew I was going to be betting the Cleveland Guardians. And as soon as I started looking forward thinking and seeing where this market could land and looking at the cash flow, I knew it was a 2-unit spot. So I got first 5 money line, full game money line. I don't mind it at the current prices. If some people think this line moved too much, but I still think there's value on the Guardians in this spot. The White Sox on the road, traveling off after winning a series on the road, I think it's time to fade them. I think it's absolutely time to fade them, and I want to back Sassoni too. So that's where I stand with White Sox Guardians. Let's see if anyone's rocking with me or fading me. 2-leg clears with Spain. Portugal's next. I'll be sweating that for you, dude. Just my 2 cents in the house. Appreciate you, dude. Appreciate you. Dan wins. Thank you again for, I think this is now your 2nd show, maybe your 3rd show rocking with us. Guardians had pretty good success against Martin. Took the money. Sassoni seems solid. I took Guardians last night at plus 100. That's a great line, brother. Great line. I'm rocking. Come on, Jermaine. Let's get it. Old Yella. What's going on, man? Another guy that I've been talking to in chat for many, many years. I've actually seen him on screen, hung out with him a little bit, but it'd be nice to have a drink with him in person. Talk sports, talk life, hang with the boys. Joshua, John, Troy, you're going 1 unit in each car? Yes, I got 1 unit on each. Not 2 units on each, 2 units total here. Honestly, I would have liked to see. I know the cash flow is a little bit different on Odds Logic. If I would have seen this market kind of stay in that plus 100 range, I might have added to it. And actually, the cash flow on Odds Logic has changed. 58% of bets, 66% of cash on the White Sox. I wouldn't mind a multi-unit bet. I do. We got the first 5 in full game per unit, but it might be worth it, to be honest. I'm on KC today, Troy Thomas Maggio. Oh, my goodness. I want to be on KC so bad. Can't wait to talk about that spot. But for now, let's hop over into the Braves versus the Cardinals. And no surprise here. What we're going to see is 70% is what do we got? Let's actually make sure. Let's update this. Let's update this chart. This might be a little bit outdated now. And it's not really. 71% of bets, 72% of cash coming in on Atlanta. The line has been extremely stagnant all day. You can see minus 114, minus 115. It's pretty much been within 3 cents of open all day long. We're not seeing a lot of movement. We are seeing most of the money in the bets coming in on Atlanta. So we're not seeing anything on the side from a line movement perspective, and we have seen this total start to juice towards the under. It actually dipped down to 8.5, and it's back up to 9. And I have a plethora of profiles to talk about in this game. I'm heaviest on the under, but I want to talk about the profile on the side because I think it's actually worth looking at what the cash flow has meant in this price range historically. So if you could pop up the graphic, Vic, I'd really appreciate it. And what we're looking at in this graphic is non-divisional home teams that close between minus 120 and minus 110. Very tight range, but it's important to stay in that range because it's a short home favorite. That's the shortest of home favorites. Anything above that is completely changing the structure of the profile because the implied odds kind of get too far away. It's not the same. If a minus 200 are moving to a minus 210, it's not the same as a minus 110 to a minus 120. From a percentage difference, that's a massive difference in the implied odds. So you got to keep that range tight, and that's why we're looking at it this way. So then you look at when the line moves less than 10 cents, exactly like we're looking at today, and a total between 8.5 and 9.5. The baseline, all games in this situation, home teams winning 61% of the time. That's a significant edge, and the under's going under 55% of the time. You look at the cash flow tonight, 72% of cash is coming in on Atlanta. Now, how is the cash played out? So if you look at the left-hand side on the bottom part of this graphic, that's the percentage of cash bucket. You can see the percentage of cash range, and then you can see the sample size in that range. And then you go over to the right-hand side. You can see between 20 and 80%, the home team is cashing out. 65% and 60, but basically they're winning 65% of the time in a 100-game sample between those two ranges. And that's where we are falling tonight. And this is another way for me to kind of explain that when you look, and I've made a ton of graphics like on X. I think I have some of my highlights. I know I posted them in Discord. Cash flow is vitally important, but it's most important when you're looking at the outside of that range, right? 80% or more, 20% or less, right? When you're looking at 80% of cash on one side versus the others, you could see that it makes a difference. And you could see that theoretically when you think about fading the public and fading all the money. This is where you'd want to do it. It's when it ticks over that 80 or ticks below that 20. Find that to be very fascinating. You could also see that the under plays out way better in the 20 to 80% range. Very interesting. And this is just one example, but there's every price range. You'll see the very same thing. Now, it's not like it always favors the home team in this range. It's not the truth, but you can see the drastic change between when it's 80% or more or 20% or less versus the rest of the market. Rest of the distribution, I should say. Fascinating to me. So always flag when you see 80% or more on one side. Think about what's going on optically in this situation. And I think I made some sense of it. And it took me a while to get here, but let's talk about the matchup because that's kind of where it all starts to get pulled together. Dustin May. This is a guy that I posted about what I'm about to tell you. I posted on X about this guy because I love what I'm seeing from Dustin May. I mean, his xERA, he's got a 1.20 whip, a 3.73 xERA. He's coming off 2 innings, 6 hits, 6 earned in Kansas City. But that total was off the charts, and it was a bad start. There's no doubt about it. But this guy has been posting nothing but quality starts. Outside of that one start, nothing but quality since April 10th. This guy has been on fire as a pitcher. And the improvements he's made are absolutely noticeable, especially when you look at his pitch mix, because last year he led with the sweeper, followed by his sinker, fastball, cutter, and he had a 21-degree arm angle. That's completely changed. Last year, he was a 5.20 xERA. He was in the bottom 17th percentile in pitching run value. He was in the bottom 5th percentile in fastball run value. This year, he went from sweeper first. He cleaned it up. It's fastball, cutter, sinker, sweeper. The perfect tunnel. And then he raised his arm angle from 21 to 32 degrees. And that's the pitches that's the type of pitcher I want to back. Fastball, cutter, sinker. I talk about the splitter being meta. I think that this has to be added to the meta in terms of what we want to be backing as sports bettors. His fastball run value is now in the top 4 percentile. So he went from the very bottom 5 percentile to the top 5 percentile in fastball run value. His K rate improved. His walk rate has dropped. He has great numbers against this Atlanta lineup. And guess what? Atlanta's 30th since June 1st against right-handed pitching. I mean, honestly, we expected that regression to come. We just didn't know it was going to be to this extent. We talked about this openly right here on this show, that it was coming for Atlanta. I just didn't think it would be this harsh. Then you look at Hurston Waldrop on the mound. He's only got 2 innings under his belt this season. So take it for what it is, because it was 5 days ago. It was on June 26th, on my birthday. He went 2 innings, gave up 2 hits, 4 walks, no earned in that spot. He had a 3.0 whip and didn't allow any runs. You know why? He generated 4 ground balls, 2 of which resulted in double plays. Last season, he had 56 innings under his belt. He had a 1.19 whip and a 3.99 xERA. For a first-year guy, that's extremely impressive to me. He limited hard contact. He was top 5 in barrel rate. His ground ball rate was off the charts. What he did last year was impressive, and I think he can continue that when I start looking under the hood a little bit at his pitch mix. He's got the splitter. 32% of his pitches are splitters. And I talk about the meta being fastball, cutters, sinker. You could add this to the list. And he also does the fastball, sinker, cutter with the splitter. So I love what he's throwing. I think he has a lot of upside, very high ceiling. The kid splitter and curveball were dirty last season. I think he could be a quality pitcher in the MLB, and I think he could do well for Atlanta. St. Louis versus right-handed pitching, 13th since June 1st, 15th on the season. So everything about this profile leads me 2 ways, and it's mostly because I believe in both these pitchers. And I didn't even touch on, because I had the graphic, but I have a ton of data here that supports a move on the under. Like, once you isolate the total open, total close, account for the juice, account for the small line movement, we're talking about profiles that range between just massively towards the under, 57 to 62% when you're just isolating for the under. And then in the baseline profile, 53% to the under. I love the under with Dustin May and Waldrop on the mound. So I bet the under. First 3 under 2.5. I got plus 105. I got the under 9, minus 115. And I got the Braves money line, minus 112. I did all 3. And I'm actually fairly confident in my position here. So I got 3 units on this game, 2 units on the unders, avoiding that first 5 because another market that I did not do well in. But I'm on the Braves money line, full game under, first 3 under. Mash the like for Troy, just my 2 cents. I appreciate that, man. I'm appreciating that, bro. Jose Perez, what up? What up, gang? Let's go, man. Not as humid today in KC. Maybe May deals. Well, if you can see me right now, I'm rocking a tank. It's humid. It's not humid in KC. It's fucking hot as hell in Chicago, man. It is blistering hot. I mean, our AC unit cannot keep up. It's so hot. I'm up in my my office, just sweating my balls off all day long. Not even when there's no games on, I'm sweating. So I'll have a nice sweat going for our action tonight. I like ATL. Well, rock with me then, Tom. Rock with me, brother. Would you wait to see if the cash flow comes in on Atlanta to cross 80% to make that bet? Well, I have. So it has actually ticked up from earlier today. It was 72%, and I'm seeing right now it's at 74%. I don't think it's going to cross that threshold. I don't think it's going to cross that threshold. But thinking back to that graphic, over 80%. Now you're talking about going from 65% win rate to 45% win rate, from a plus 12% edge to a minus 8% edge. I mean, it's a massive difference. So I wouldn't blame you. But I do believe you're good in putting that action in right now. Also, I've had questions before as I was doing some analytics work for some whales that are putting in massive bets. And I was studying down to the very percentile of how different profiles interact and different markets interact with that cash flow. And the difference between 79 and 81% is massive. It's massive. And you net two completely different results. It's only at 2 spots in the entire cash flow, from 0 to 100%. There's only 2 spots where that really does that. And it's between 79 and 81 and 19 and 21, which is why I set up my parameters as such. 95 in Rhode Island. And here's the problem with the weather right now. It's not just the heat. Like, it's the type of heat. It's actually what do they call it? It's the air pressure parlayed with the humidity. And there's some type of metric, but it's essentially your body is not getting, there's no cooling, right? If you're sweating outside, a lot of weather, it's evaporating, right? And that's helping you cool off. Not the case right now. People are dying from it. So stay out of the heat. It's the dog days of summer, man. I know my dog, speaking of the dog, my dog wants to go on a fucking walk. He's up my ass all day long. Now he's a golden retriever with a ton of fur. So he does not do well in the heat. So we'll go for like a 2-minute stroll and he's already turning around, like looking at me like, all right, let's go back now. 100-pound golden, hella hair. Doesn't do well in this heat. And he's putting on weight because of it. All right, next game on the board. And I think that this one is catching a lot of people's attention. And we have seen some line movement now. And this might be what convinces me to move on this spot here. So we just talked about cash flow, right? Well, what are we looking at in this market with the Kansas City Royals and the Tampa Bay Rays? You know what? I'm thinking about this now. Go into Discord at Post Sports Radio. I'm going to drop in scores and odds, what I use to make my entries into my database for cash flow. And now it reflects what action's posting. So it's free. It's a free tool. So take that for what it is. But I could verifiably tell you after tracking cash flow for 3 years that it does have some impact on results and expectations. I'll drop that link in after the show. Royals Rays, 16% of bets, 14% of cash is coming on the Royals. 14% of cash on a home team, short home dog. Royals open plus 104. They're up to plus 108. I know it says plus 104 with no movement here because that's where it was for 99% of the day, all day long. It was sticking at plus 104. I don't think it had moved until recently. Let's see what time this moved. This has just moved at 4:22 p.m. 4 minutes ago. We got a 4-cent move towards the Rays. But it still falls within my profile that I have for this game. And I forgot to send the graphic now. I'm realizing I did not send this one over to Vic. God damn it. It's all right. I'll just talk through it. Non-divisional home teams where the line opens and closes between minus 105 and plus 115 because we're not seeing a lot of line movement. That's what I'm trying to account for when I'm doing the open and close in the same range. I'm trying to account for very little line movement. So we're looking at a line movement of less than 10 cents in either direction. I think we're going to end up closing there. The road team is 33 and 26 straight up, 56%, 33 and 25 to the under. Oh, sorry. The total is greater than 9 in that profile. So we're looking at high total, short home dog, line barely moving. That's all you have to take away from what I just said. Short home dog, total greater than 9, less than 10 cents of line movement. Home team or road team, 33 and 26 straight up, 56%. However, we're looking at that 14%, right? I just talked about the 80% threshold. What happens when 80% or more of the cash is on the road team in that spot? They're 10-0 straight up. 10-0, 100%. So the more cash coming in on a road, and intuitively, that does not make sense to me, right? And the 10-0 might not even be a big enough sample to move on, but it's certainly worth considering. We're talking about 80% or more of the cash on a team. The line's barely moving, and they're winning 100% of the time. Only 10 games, but still, it's pretty fascinating to see that. I look at the matchup, and I want to fade the road team. I want to fade the Tampa Bay Rays. And maybe at this point I'm biased because I bet the Royals so much. And that's the one team that throughout this massive parabolic run I'm going on, I have not been doing well with is the Royals. I've been backing them. I've not been doing very well. I've hit some bets, some big plus money spots. But I've not done well with them in cumulatively. I look at Seymour's numbers and it's super impressive, right? I mean, second year, he's got 3 starts under his belt. He went from the bullpen to the starting pitching position. He's got a 114 whip and a 334 xERA. Pretty damn impressive. Look at June, 21 innings, 12 hits, 8 walks. He's got a sub-1 whip and a 386 ERA. He just went 6.2 innings of no-hit baseball against this very Kansas City lineup. However, now it's a very different situation. That outing against Kansas City the first time was in a controlled environment. It was at home in the Trop. It was at the Trop, a very pitcher-friendly ballpark, pitcher-friendly environment. Now he's on the road with a total that's higher than 9. It's over 10, juice to the over. Very offensive conditions. On the road, Seymour, 7.41 ERA, 2.99 opponent batting average. Only 1 road appearance over the past month. So he's been terrible on the road. He's going from pitching at home in a great ballpark for him to a terrible situation, pitching on the road against a team that's desperate to get a win. His ground ball rate also not good for him, bottom 5th percentile. That's not good in these conditions. And he's one of those guys that I want to fade because he's transitioning from the bullpen to the starting pitching position, and his fastball usage is less than 40%. This is the type of transition, the type of mix, the type of profile that I want to fade. Kansas City Royals, versus left-handed pitching, they're 9th since June. They're 19th on the season. I mean, if I just isolated Ian Seymour in this equation and said, what am I going to do? I didn't look at the market history. So before the database, I would have already bet this spot. If I couldn't actually quantify what happened in the market history, I would have already bet the Tampa Bay Rays. I would have already wanted to fade Ian Seymour. However, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get there today because of what I know in the market history. Stephen Kolek on the other side, 1.19 whip, 381 xERA. Last time out, he got torched. 1.2 innings in St. Louis, 9 hits, 9 earned runs, and it was not a very pretty start. And prior to that, he was absolutely fantastic. You know, his prior 5 starts before that outing in St. Louis, 39 innings, sub-1 whip, sub-1 ERA. The underlying numbers put him around average, but it starts like he had against St. Louis that drags the entire profile down, and it makes the Savant page. It just skews the data so significant, so much. He generates ground balls at a high clip, top 30th percentile, and improving. His walk rate is only 5.2%. That's a top 7th percentile, but he doesn't get the swing and miss. And against this Rays lineup, who hits right-handed pitching, the 3rd on the season, 7 since June, it's another bad matchup for Stephen Kolek. So I do see that we're looking at this total now. It has dropped from 10.5 down to 10. And before I look at the comment section, I want to actually put this back in the profile here and see what this line movement has done. And I'm going to definitely do it based on the open and the closing line, and then look at what happens with this total, and then work it back from there, because this is one of the games I have not bet yet. And I actually do want some action in this game. And I really want to bet the Kansas City Royals. And I just don't know if I'm going to be able to get there. Let's see. Let's see, man. Total greater than 9. We're looking at non-division and a move towards the road team, and it looks terrible. It looks terrible for the Royals. It looks so bad for the Royals that I might be left with no other option but to bet the Rays. That's how bad it looks. It's a shame. It's a crime shame, man. It's a crime shame. This profile does not look good for the Royals. So I will not be betting the Royals. I will not be betting the Royals today. I might not be betting this game at all because I don't know if I can bring myself to bet the Rays. Oh, the last thing I wanted to check, what happens when we have this type of market with the line moving towards the under? Right? High total, short home dog, non-division. We're looking at overs. Line move towards the road team, overs. Line move towards the home team, unders. Very interesting how that works here. Let me open up this price range just so we capture a little bit more. Let's go between -110 and -125. That creates a good medium point. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be betting this game. And that's funny as hell. The last profile I click over to, looking isolated 10 and a half, moving towards the under. Yeah, this is a pass. This is a pass. I got to pass. I said I would be betting every game. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll sprinkle the Royals for the fun of it, because I got to stick to my word, right? Or am I just looking for a reason to be a degenerate? All right, next game up. Actually, before I do that, D-Trip. Troy, you have any promo codes? D-Trip for you, my guy. It's been a long time since I've heard from you, man. Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, I do. The whole reason I've moved over to Dub Club in the first place is because people were cherry picking my stuff, selling it as if it was their own information. Nobody else has quantified the market like I have, at least that I've seen. And I had to take it off the mainstream and at least do something to protect my information. Absolutely, D-Trip. Absolutely. Oh, hell yeah. What's up, Troy Fireside? Let's get it, man. Let's get it. Thanks for joining, Rob McMahon. You're killing me, Smalls. Royals. That might be what I needed to hear. Who else is on the Royals? Is anyone on the Rays? Big Show picks. It's good, bro. Man, Tyrion Arnold, dude. Tyrion Arnold. I thought he would be an absolute goon in the league, and he showed glimpses of glory. Now he's going to be behind bars. People are stupid, bro. All right. Next game up. D-Trip, shoot me a message on X, please. Next game up, Rangers, Tigers. It's a game I went back and forth with. We're looking at 61% of bets, 42% of cash coming in on Texas. Let's see if this numbers have maintained. We're looking at a massive line move. So we're seeing bigger bets. It's kind of 50-50 splits, but a little bit bigger bets coming in on the Tigers. And I think that goes for both action and odds logic. We're looking at 50-50 action on the total as well. What happened with this side? Despite the 50-50 action, Rangers open minus 131. They're down to minus 115. And now that I'm thinking about it, let's see if this is injury related or lineup related. And someone tell me. My page is now loading. What the hell's wrong? Is anybody out today for the Texas Rangers? But I wanted to look at what happens in this market. So if you could pull up this graphic, I think it's a fascinating graphic. And it goes back to, so instead of looking at cash flow, because this is largely 50-50, you're not going to find a lot of rhyme or reason in this type of profile with 50-50 cash splits. So what I thought was better to do is to look at the size of the line move, right? Because we have a line that opened at minus 131. We're looking at minus 110 right now. That's a 21-cent move towards the Tigers. Well, just the baseline, before we even consider the magnitude, the size of the move, what happens in this market environment? The home team wins 58.5% of the time. That's plus 6.2% versus the implied, and the total goes over at a pretty high clip. But let's break this out by the size of the line move. If it was only 1 to 9 cents in this opening range, it's a 50-50 proposition, and you'll be better off betting the road dog in that case. However, when it starts moving 10 or more cents, you could see what happens to it. 10 to 19 cents, home teams now up to 60% with the 7% edge, and this massive move between 20 and 39 cents. I guess we should just include all of it, right? The 1 and 0 and the 40% sample, 10 and 2 straight up with this massive line movement. So this is a situation where instantly I'm pretty much locked into one side or pass. Now, you could also talk me into maybe betting an over in this situation, but that's not going to be the case today because both these lineups, in my opinion, are fadeable, especially in this spot. You got Framber Valdez on the mound, who's a pitcher I backed him, I faded him. I don't have a very strong opinion one way or the other. I think he's regressed a little bit year over year. We have seen some regression in the underlying numbers, but he still has the ability to get ground balls at a high clip. He gets chased at a high clip. Two of the most valuable elements of a starting pitcher. His sinker has regressed, but his off-speed progressed year over year in terms of pitching run value. And I'd put him in the average to slightly above average category at this point in his career. Now, at one point, he was well above average, but we have seen some regression. And he's got a 4.29 xERA. He's coming off 6 innings, 9 hits, 4 earned against Houston. And he's only had one start over the past month, one road start over the past month. And that was against his old team, Houston, a very comfortable environment for him in Houston. I don't think that's going to be the case today. On the other side, you got Nathan Eovaldi, 4.03 xERA. He's coming off 7 innings, 5 hits, no earned against a deadbeat offense in Toronto. So take that for what it is, but he's been better at home, not in terms of ERA, but in the metrics that matter. His xERA, his whip, his batting average, his limiting hard contact, much better at home than he has been on the road. And the issue and why we're seeing regression from Eovaldi is because, his splitter is great. There's no doubt about it. I talk about his splitter every time I'm on the show, especially when he pitches against the Yankees. Anyone who throws a splitter and is playing the Yankees, you should be betting on that team first 5, most likely. It's the usage and execution of the fastball pitches, right? The fast pitches, the fastball, the sinker, the cutter. Last year, it was a 50% usage. This year, it's a 40% usage. Last year, he was top 5 percentile in fastball run value. This year's bottom 5 in fastball run value. Opponents are hitting 400, higher than 400 off his 4-seam. Last year, it was just 266. Detroit versus right-handed pitching, 9th since June, 19th on the season. I think it's really matchup and situationally dependent with what kind of offense we're going to see from Detroit. Tigers are coming off a sweep of the Yankees. They travel all the way down to Texas. They're 0-2 straight up, coming off a road win and traveling. The record after the sweep on the road is just 15-18. So they were 15-28. So they were 12-28 before playing the Yankees. They sweep the Yankees on the road, and now they're traveling to play another road series. You're damn right I'm going to be fading this team. Rangers traveled back from Cleveland after winning the series but losing the finale. They're 2-3 straight up coming off a road win or a road loss, excuse me. So that's not very impactful one way or the other. But they are 500 at home, which is their better split this season. I'm on the Rangers in this spot. I'm baiting this big market move, this big line move towards the Tigers. And before I built the database, this is a spot where I'd be looking at this market history and I'd be like, there's no way I'm going to be fading the Houston Astros after. I'm not going to step in front of the books, but it was the opening line. That was the key variable. The open at -131. That was the telltale sign. This big line move is just giving us value at this point. So that's what I did. I'm playing the Rangers money line -112. Let's see if anybody's rocking with me. Is this recency bias on the Tigers? Yeah, I think so. I mean, dude, Fireside brings up a good point. Remember last year, like there's always recency bias with this Tigers team. They're kind of like the Cubs in a way, where they're all hands on deck. They're winning games, they're on a run, or they're in the fucking gutter, losing games, blowing games, bad bullpen play. There's another reason I want to fade their bullpen too. That's why I didn't play the first 5, because I think I want to get the full 9 innings in this game. Ryan Glove just hopping in. What up, everyone? I'm on the under in this game. Got an 8. I can't blame you. But Texas has been hot for left-handed pitching. Second since June 1st, 10th on the season. Certainly the Rangers better split is versus left-handed pitching. JPZ, what's good? Touchdown Troy, can't wait till we are on the NFL. Now that's where I really feel comfortable is in the NFL. But the NFL, I just get so stuck in the weeds. I want to know, are we starting in a 2 high shell? Are we finishing in a 2 high shell? What's this defensive coordinator do against 13 personnel? What does he do versus 31 personnel? Oh, geez, I can't wait for the NFL. Can't wait. Rangers line is depleted. I know. It's a 21-cent move. All right. Next game on the slate is Mariners Angels. 88% of bets and 74% of cash, and I have to update this. Let's see if this cash flow has remained neutral or where I'm basically mentioning 88% of bets, 81% of cash is coming in on the Mariners. And look over at odds, logic, 83% to 80. We're looking at 80% plus coming in on the home favorite, but actually, yeah, it's 81%, right? So it just crosses that threshold, which does give me some cause for concern. Like there's definitely profiles in the database that I could show you that would favor a bet on the Seattle Mariners. And it would definitely be a full game bet. There's also some spots. What's the run line on this game? It's +108, where I would say the run line is probably better than the money line. And this is another one I should have sent over a graphic. I posted it in Discord, both PSR. I actually posted this one because I thought it was so imperative. It's something I wanted to talk about. We're looking at the first 5 discrepancy in this game. And now the first 5 discrepancies, 1 and 3 the last 4 times. But before that, it was on a 13. Let me see what it was. What was this? Because the first 5 discrepancy was just on a massive tear, just winning every single time. Where is it? I have it somewhere. 13-1. Yeah, it was on a 13-1 run. Now it's the last few games. It's 1 and 3, right? So take it for what it is. One of those was a terrible beat too. But the first 5 discrepancies, when you have the first 5 line moving towards the Seattle Mariners, or the first 5 line moving one way, the full game line moving the other way, with the 15-cent price differential between the two. And that's what we're looking at in this game. And then I look at the matchup. I see Walbert Urena on the mound. And if you've been watching my show since the very first time we talked about Walbert Urena, it was after watching him his very first start, or his very first outing, his very first appearance against Houston Astros. I seen him pitch, and I knew I was going to be backing this guy. He's got a 1.34 whip, not very good, but a 3.14 ERA, a 3.27 xERA, and that's over a 3.27 xERA with 13 starts and 72 pitches or 72 innings under his belt. That's impressive work from a rookie. He's young. He's got no taxes attached to him yet. He plays for a team that's consistently undervalued. He has one of the dirtiest changeups in the game. And the changeup itself profiles this top 2% in baseball. And it was clear since I seen him pitch the very first time that I would be backing him. And that's what I've done almost every time he started over the past few months. And this guy he's won me an egregious amount of money. I mean, I would say that he's probably one of the main reasons I've came back and I'm back in the black. and I want to continue betting him. And something that sticks out looking at his resume, he gets touched every time he sees a team in back-to-back appearances. Houston, first game, he blanks them. First appearance of the season, actually. Next appearance, 4 hits, 2 walks, 1 inning pitched. So he goes from pitching great against Houston. Now that was back when he was coming out of the bullpen, but still, you can see the difference. First time you see in Houston, pitched great. Second time, got touched. How about the Athletics? First time, he blanks them. We were on him on this show. Next start, he gets torched. 7 earned in 4 innings. This will be the first time the Mariners have seen Uranus, so I like that. Right? It's not the second time. It's not like they're very familiar with this changeup. And Seattle versus right-handed pitching, trust me, I'm kind of talking on both sides of my mouth, because Seattle versus right-handed pitching, I'm going to beat a dead horse. They struggle lately. They're kind of, they're not showing up, but the past 2 seasons, the top 5 lineup, both this season and last season, on the entire season, they've been one of the best lineups against right-handed pitching. But there's absolutely no doubt. This first 5 line moved 30 cents towards the Angels. The full game line has moved 18 cents towards Seattle. That's a massive, massive inverse line movement. I'm not reverse line movement, inverse between the first 5 and full game split. We also have a 15-cent price difference between first 5 and full game. Automatically, I'm going to be betting Urania in the first 5. But then I look at the other side of the equation. What do I find? I find something to be bullish on. Bryce Miller, 280, 228 xERA, a .72 whip across 7 starts. He's coming off 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned in Pittsburgh, but he did have 11 Ks. But that was on the road. At home, it's only 16 innings of work, but a .57 ERA, a 100 opponent batting average. The underlying numbers suggest he's taken a massive step forward. He went from bottom 20th percentile in almost every metric to top 10 percentile in every metric. The core didn't change, his fastball and splitter. It was really the secondary pitches that put him over the top, paired with insane location. Very good sequencing, very good, changing the eye level, high in the zone, low in the zone, not walking hitters. He's basically top 10 percentile in every metric except for ground ball and barrel rate. And both variables matter much less at home in Seattle, right? Because it's a defensive ballpark. So obviously I'm going to be betting the Angels first 5, and I did. I bet Angels first 5 money line plus 165. I bet Angels first 5 plus a half at plus 110. I got a half a unit on the first 5 money line at plus 165. I got a full unit on the plus 110 plus a half, because I think this is going to be a very low scoring game. I have profiles from the database that suggest unders the play in this spot. Mariners team total. I want the Mariners. So so not only do I have the first 5 money line, first 5 plus a half, but I got a half a unit on the Mariners team total under 2.5 and minus 135. It would have felt negligible not to play that, because I do think Bryce Miller can be great in the start. And then I seen a minus 144 at FanDuel on the first 3 under 2.5, and I had to make that play too. Look back at the past 2 seasons for Bryce Miller. He's lights out in the first 3 innings. Things start to fall out, unravel a little bit in the 4th and 5th. Urania's the same way. First 3 innings, he's been lights out. So it felt like I had to add the first 3. So I actually got 3 full units on this game. Angels first 5 money line, Angels first 5 against the spread, Mariners team total under 2.5, and the first 3 under 2.5. I'm absolutely hammering this game, and I love my position. Wine time. What's good, man? I think this is the first time you stopped by. Good to see you, dude. Are you on your Angels today? Stop by just to talk Angels, huh? I've been back in Urania. I'm huge on them. Troy Swig Bets and Family. What's up? What's up, Josh Witt? What's up, man? Good to see you. Paxton. Why can you do the huge move show every day instead of just Tuesday and Thursday? That's a good question, Paxton. Tuesday and Thursday is where I have the availability to actually do this show and do it properly. I want to do more. Maybe in the future I can do more. Trust me, I wish I could be doing it every day as well. All right, last game on the slate, Dodgers Padres, and this is another game, one of the only other spots that I have not moved on yet. And let's make sure I got this accurate right now. 91% of bets, 84% of cash coming on the Dodgers. No surprise there. Look at odds logic. You're looking at LAD, 86%, 80% of bets. 86% of bets, 80% of cash. So it's, come on, it's the Dodgers at home as a minus 198 favorite. The action is going to be coming on the Dodgers. That's where the sentiment's going to be. And what do we see with this line? It opened minus 198 and it's completely stagnant. Look at the total, 8.5 juice to the over. Now it's 9 juice to the over. So it has moved up significantly, almost flip. I mean, the move to the over and almost up to the 9.5. I mean, it's gone too far. I mean, the open at 8.5 juiced minus 118. I mean, to me, that kind of stuck out as being sticker shock. If we were still at an 8.5, would I be seeing value or would I be scared to take an over? Really tricky total to work with, especially when you're looking at the matchup in this situation. But I will say this about the market history in this spot. And this is going to be very hard for me to pull the trigger, but I think I might have to pull the trigger. With no line movement, the Dodgers are in a terrible market environment. Home teams in division in this price range with little to no line movement, with over 50% of cash on the home team, but bigger bets on the road team, which is what we're seeing. You've been lighting money on fire. Now there's a fine line there because the Dodgers at home in this sample are 4-1 straight up, but they're 1-4 on the run line. So you have a market moving towards the over, and these games have actually gone over too for the Dodgers home games. They're 4-0 to the over, actually 3-1 to the over. One game basically went under by a half a run, which I don't know. That just kind of throws me through a loop. So seeing the Dodgers, if it wasn't for the Dodgers at home in this profile being so successful on the money line, but at the same time, you see that they haven't been covering the run line, which is surprising because you'd figure the high totals, more volatility, more high scoring games, which means the wider margins of victory has not been the case with the Dodgers at home. It speaks to maybe some mob shit going on with that situation as well. I could only look towards the Padres. There's no chance unless we see at least a 10-cent move. Like it's got to be a minimum 10-cent move before I would even consider backing the Dodgers in this situation. I look at the matchup and I have two pitchers that I kind of put in the same tier. Now, Randy Vasquez, I might be a little biased, so I want to be careful with Randy Vasquez because he's got a 1.51 WHIP, a 4.44 ERA, but a 7.05 xERA. Usually that's a red flag, but I might be a little bit biased because I've been higher on the market than him for 2 seasons. Some of the people in my Discord definitely know that to be true. I got a Padres fan who wants to fade them today. And that's another reason why it's kind of kept me off of it. But, last time out, 3.1 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned against this very Dodgers team. Now, he has had some good starts in the past. I mean, he has 70 at-bats of history against this Dodgers team. He's got a 271 opponent batting average and a 905 OPS. I would say that's not very bad considering he just got shelled. That's part of that same sample. And, we've seen him pitch well against the Dodgers. His Savant page is a complete embarrassment. I mean, it puts him bottom 5 in almost every category. Pitching run value, xERA, x-batting average, his barrel percentage, average exit velo. Like, he's in the bottom 5 percentile. But he's shown the ability to post quality starts. He went into Seattle. He posted 6 scoreless. He went into Philly. He posted 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, and 2 earned. I mean, he's definitely a pitcher that can get the job done from time to time. The problem is when the cutter don't cut and the sinker don't sink, he gets slugged. And that happens quite a bit. The Dodgers versus right-handed pitching, their 4th since June. I mean, we know this team is an offensive juggernaut. But something about Randy Vasquez, I just want to back him. Roki Sasaki on the other side, and something about Roki, I just want to fade him. Maybe it's his soft ass. Maybe it was the tears he was spilling on the field. I don't know what it is, but I want to fade him. He is clearly a guy with high upside, right? He throws the splitter and the forkball that are dirty, but it's the 4-seam fastball that he cannot command whatsoever. And what happens is when you get a dirty off speed with no fastball, you can't be a starting pitcher. You belong in the bullpen. You become too predictable. The second time through the order, when everyone's seen the off speed, they've seen the split, they've seen the forkball, what are they going to do? They're going to wait for the fastball to be in the zone. They're going to blister it, or they're going to hit the hanging breakers. And he don't hang a lot of breakers, but he puts a lot of them in the dirt. So they're going to watch a ton of pitches go in the dirt. I could see them finding success. He just pitched against this Dodgers team or this Padres team, 4 innings, 3 hits, 5 walks in 4 innings, 3 earned. It's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So the only true advantage that I could see that we could easily give, in my opinion, to the Padres is the bullpen. I think the bullpen is definitely an advantage. So the question is, can Vasquez give us 5 solid innings, a 3 to 4 run baseball? If he can, I do believe there's value with the 1.5. I don't bet a lot of of especially road teams plus 1.5. But this is a situation I'm definitely considering. And with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to be adding the Padres money line. Let's see what we get. I'm going to add the Padres money line, Padres run line. I'm going to bet it right now on show. So we can get the Padres. I'm just going to bet it here. I'm just going to bet it here as I have a large portion of my bankroll here. Padres run line, Padres plus 1.5, minus 120 for 0.5 units, and the Padres money line, which we could get at plus 175 for a half unit. So half unit on the run line, half unit on the money line, 0.5 units. If I think Vasquez can match the output from Roki Sasaki, leaving us with opportunity with the big dog price here. Dodgers team total over 3.5 and money line parlay. Man, I would try to talk you off of it based on the market history, but it's hard to when you look at the Dodgers having success in this divisional market, right? So LA Dodgers team total over 4.5. I think they hit Vasquez. I agree. And then what has the Padres done? Offense done that gives you any type of hope. But if that was the case, I would imagine we'd be seeing this line. It's because Roki Sasaki gives out so many free passes. That gives me hope. You're going to give a team that can't hit free passes. We just watched him do it. Roki Sasaki, how is he at home? Is he significantly better at home? I don't think that's the case. Roki Sasaki, let's see his home road splits. At home, he has been better at home. I mean, it depends on how you look at it. 36 innings on both the home and the road. His ERA at home is 3.50. His ERA on the road is 6.25. I mean, he's given up more home runs at home, more power at home, but he's been better at limiting runs at home as well. Take it for what it is. I mean, I'm going to be fading Roki Sasaki. I'm going to put my faith in this market. I'm going to be back in the Padres after fading them 3 straight games when they were in Chicago against the Cubs. Yeah, Mark. Why is the line not moving their way? Fuck. I don't blame anybody for not moving on that spot if they don't. But I'm going to be spirity about it, so it's too late for me. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for the closing line for today, July 2nd, 2026. Thank you to everybody again. I start the show by saying thank you. I end the show by saying thank you to everyone that comes out to support Pub Sports Radio, to support me doing the closing line. Thank you very much. I do the show every Tuesday and Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. I'd appreciate any and all supports you guys bring my way. Peter Loshak's going to be here Monday, Wednesday, Fridays to take care of business on the days I'm not here, and I've been grinding my goddamn ass off since 5 a.m. to get to the money, to get to the bag. Now it's time to watch our investments flourish. Good capping, good luck, and I'll see your ass next Tuesday. Peace.
It's easier to sleep in the black when you're losing your ass and feeling so. You know what to do. Tune in to Pub Sports Radio. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's a roller coaster ride, you're gonna catch a bad beat. No problem, keep your head up and just bet the spreadsheet. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. All thanks to Jeff Slaughter, these shows have our backs. POD's always rolling, especially the stats. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. We got Jimmy, Jose, Dabby and the fam, Dutch wine time, Spooner and OG Wham. So hit the like button, don't say that you can't. If you know what's best, just put your money on tape.